Hello everybody, good evening, welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your Monday Night Football watch-along as Crystal Palace face Chelsea in what is a massive game for both of these clubs. Chelsea, obviously, look, great win in the Cup. They've got the Carabao Cup coming up in the final very, very soon. But and they're still in the FA Cup, but in the Premier League, it's somewhat a struggle. So make sure that, well, look, somebody just said scroll down FC. It's really boring, says David Scott. But David, I think EastEnders is on. You know, take your dog a walk. If you've got a dog, you know, I don't know. But if you don't like it, don't be here. Jog on. Look, took my time getting live, but I tell you what, big shout out to the legends who joined me last night for the Super Bowl. 10,000, over 10,000 from 11 o'clock till 4 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. That's a community. That is a movement. That is incredible. I can't believe it. That's just madness. And I love the fact that a lot of people got involved and didn't really know what it was all about. And then were like, yeah, I like this. So it was great. Loved it. Can't wait for next year. It's a shame we only do it once a year. But yeah, I'm about ready for bed. But I'm sort of, I don't know. I think the first day after you stay up late, you sort of think you've got over it. It will hit me later in the week. But yeah, really, really enjoyed that. Let's get the stats carousel rolling round. Nice new addition as well with the scores from the weekend. So if you didn't know what they are, but this is the completion of that. And as you can see, that's how the league looks at the moment. And it's completely irrelevant because Chelsea ain't in there. And neither are Crystal Palace, actually. But they are in the bottom half. Chelsea, with a win today, can come back into the top half. That's why it's there. They would go back above... well, they go above Wolves with a draw, actually. So they could be 10th tonight. They can get up to 34 points with a win. They can go to 32 points and be above Wolves on goal difference. So it's the scroll up FC Cup today for Chelsea. They could go back to 10th place. I mean, look, I think this game's absolutely huge. I really do. Because I think if Pochettino doesn't beat Aston Villa on last week in the FA Cup and then loses this game, it's, you know, Chelsea heading down the league, not up it. So, yeah, I think it's... And also, there is a backdrop in relation to the Crystal Palace situation, isn't there? Because they could, neither of these teams can afford to lose, and they could both find themselves dropping into danger. Team news for you. Let me just get that going round. So Crystal Palace have their injury problems. Dean Henderson is in goal. Munners, Anderson, Richards, Mitchell. Lerma, Wharton, Ayew, Hughes, Franca de Oliveira and Mateta. No Eze and no Elise. So you'd put Chelsea as favourites for this easily. Petrovic, Gusto, Disasi, Thiago Silva and Chilwell. Casido, Fernandes and Gallagher back together. Madueke, Jackson and Palmer. And the rotation of Chelsea's front three continues. I think this is my big problem with Chelsea is I quite like the midfield of Fernandes, Casido and Gallagher. The defence is more or less stable. They've had a few injuries. But their front three, I'm confused by. I don't ever really understand what he's trying to build there. And any team has to have a cohesive and identifiable front three, and I never really see what he's trying to do with his front three, which is incredible, the quality of players that they've got. And also, we spent so long talking about Chelsea's season resting. I mean, a little bit like Ten Hag, you know, when I get Martinez, Casemiro and Shaw back, you'll see a difference. And we have. And Chelsea fans were sort of clinging to, when we get Nkunku back, you'll see a difference. And we haven't, because he doesn't bloody pick him. So I'm like, I don't know. Chris says that YouTube's got horrific at notifications. Yeah, I don't really understand what's going on with it at the moment. But make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. You're all very, very welcome, of course. I'm glad to spend a couple of hours watching football with you. 5 hours watching the Super Bowl yesterday. In Super Bowl terms, that game, even though I didn't want the Chiefs to win, I accept the win was amazing. But that was the equivalent of a really good tactical World Cup final that gets won. I wouldn't say a penalty shootout. Golden goal. Oscar says, where do you think Man United will finish at the end of the season? Mate, I'm just happy to be in a top 4 race at the moment. I'm not really... I was just over on the United stand, actually. I'm not really about saying we're going to get it. I think it's about staying in the race. There's a lot of games to go. Loved your Super Bowl watch along last night. Hope you were feeling after the effects too much. Thanks for the content as usual. Oh, you know what, Tom Bleak? Like last night, I don't know whether you've ever had this. I went to bed at 4 o'clock. I knew I was going to have to get up at 8:30. So I've got 4.5 hours sleep max, which isn't enough. I really want to just get into bed and be asleep in seconds. I just started thinking about weird stuff, and I just couldn't get to sleep. We're in London, aren't we, says Dylan. Yeah, I fancy Chelsea for this. I think Palace just haven't really got the players they need available to win this game. Phil Jones says, to be fair, this is the front 3 that played against Villa, though. Yeah, it's a fair point. But my reaction to that is, do you genuinely think that Nicholas Jackson, Cole Palmer and Madueke are the front 3 that are going to rebuild Chelsea? It just does. It seems too fragmented for me. That's what I'm saying. Fantastic show last night, mate. But I'm tired this morning, says Leroy. Yeah, well, that's part of the... Well, I wanted to do this watch along, and I was thinking during the day, will I end up doing it? But one of the reasons I wanted to do it is I'm just like, I don't want to go to sleep at 8 o'clock. So I'm like, do the watch along, get into bed. You're so reactionary, bro, says ASAP. I'm actually not. Probably used to be, but that's not how my content is now. It's definitely more. I can't. What? Come on, then. Throw some reactionary comments about me. I've been very, very consistent about Klopp's midfield rebuild from August. I was ahead of the game on that, and I've been consistent with it. I've been very, very consistent on Arteta for a number of years that I believe he is doing a really good job. It's just going to take a bit of time. I was very consistent at the start of the season when I said I think Chelsea will be the big flop because I just don't see any cohesion. So, there's 3 good predictions there. There'll be ones I got wrong, i.e., I think the big one I got wrong this year was Tottenham. But that's a shot in the dark. There's no credible evidence behind that prediction. I said I didn't think Tottenham would get top 8, but, there's no real logic to say either way that you could predict that. I don't do the reactionary shit. I saw a clip today about, it's my worst thing, and I like the people in the video, actually. I really do, but it was just the sort of stuff I just don't want to be involved in, really. It was about, what was it about? It was about Mainu and Lewis Miley, and how Mainu is a B-Tech Lewis Miley. And I'm like, it's just the worst type of conversation. I think it belongs, you'd expect it to come out of Gabby Agbonlahore's mouth. It's just crappy football analysis that and I think you, over the years, have worked our way through to a position where we can actually have very good conversations about football now. But if you're saying like one player is a B-Tech version of the other, what are we doing there as a conversation? Are we creating a viral piece that everyone's just going to be ridiculing? Or are we actually going to have a conversation about how impressive Lewis Miley is at Newcastle and how impressive Kobe Mainu is at Manchester United and how this is fantastic for the Premier League and British football to have 2 young players playing in the midfield for 2 teams that were in the top 4 last year? And all right, they've fallen on hard times this year, but one of the positives is they've got 2 young teenagers who've come from nowhere who are playing at the highest level. I don't think it's with all due respect, and I do respect other people's opinions, I don't want to be involved in those sort of conversations anymore where you're slagging off a player because of some club rights. You know, that's what That's Football's about, isn't it? We're all fans of different clubs, but we all love football. Look, I don't like Liverpool, but I think that Bradley is incredible and it's really exciting. Obviously, I want all the young players to be coming through at Manchester United. But if Crystal Palace had a striker that came on who was 17 and he scored 2 goals, I'd be really excited. I love all that. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's one of the exciting things about football. You know, I'd love it if there was a striker. Or no, I'd love it if there was a winger playing for Millwall in the Championship who's 18 and he's just tearing it apart. It's just exciting. I don't feel the need to, you know, Saka's just a bloody wish version of Salah. You know, I don't. You can have an either or of who you think's better, but we don't need to be offensive about it. I think it's fantastic that Lewis Miley's coming through at Newcastle. I wouldn't say I wish him all the best, but I think it's great. Chelsea to get a result against City at the weekend, says Jameson. I would absolutely love it, but I don't trust Chelsea to do anything at the moment, which is why they're capable of doing anything. But having said that, I thought Everton were ridiculously well organised against Man City, and if they'd had an attacking threat, I mean, we did that as a watch-along on Saturday, didn't we? I think if Everton, I mean, they were playing with 10 men. Calvert-Lewin was, and I'm a big fan of Calvert-Lewin, he was terrible on Saturday, but Everton defended really well. So if Chelsea defend well, they've got more of an attacking threat than Everton. So, you know, who knows? Thanks everyone who's tuning in, by the way. Make sure you subscribe. It's Ash Wednesday this Wednesday, Mark. What are we giving up for Lent? And what's the toughest thing you've ever given up, says Leon. Interesting question. Tombly, welcome to the Members Club. Love that. Thank you very much. Get your badge in the chat if you want to support the channel. Sorry for the big reveal being delayed, by the way. If you listen to the podcast tomorrow, you'll know there is a podcast tomorrow, but you'll notice there's been a bit of a problem today that's unavoidable. So we've had to put things back a few days, but it'll be exciting when it happens, and it'll be a nice thing to have towards the end of the week. So, yeah. Loved your Super Bowl watch along. Oh, that was Tombly. We've read that one. And he's a new member as well. Ash Wednesday, Pancake Tuesday, Valentine's Day on Wednesday as well. I mean, imagine that. It's Valentine's Day. Don't give up anything that's in that area, because it might be the only time you get it. But what's the worst thing I've ever given up? Well, it's not 9 o'clock yet, so I can't tell you the worst thing. I can't believe I even tried to give it up, and I can't believe I was told it was a bad thing to do. You know, I just think of the 2 days wasted not doing it. I was told it was a sin and you shouldn't be doing it. I was like 14. Never going to get them 2 days back. I genuinely was, you know, I was genuinely going cold turkey thinking what I was doing was a bad thing. Anyway, if you know, you know. I think the hardest thing I've given up was, you know, smoking was hard to give up. You know, and I knew I had to do it. I never really was a proper smoker. I wouldn't say, you know, I know people who smoke and they find it really difficult not to have one in the morning or at lunchtime. I used to have one, but I wasn't that bothered. But what I really struggled with was down the pub after, you know, soon as I've had a couple of beers, I'd crave a cigarette. That's my favourite time. I haven't smoked in 20 years. So I think the smoking ban in pubs helped me out a lot, actually. Even though I was dead against it, it did help me out a lot. So that was quite difficult to give up. Marlborough Lights, yeah. Cross comes in from Palace. That was a good cross, but no Palace player really with the intelligence to get on the end of it. Chelsea are playing with a left winger. It's Michael Jackson. I mean, Nicholas Jackson. Greg Murphy says, I love the Stone Roses jacket. Yeah, I got mine really quickly. I mean, they're starting to trickle through now. I'm seeing more and more people wearing them, but I literally got it day before release. Or the day it came out, I think it was, actually. Have a beer tonight, Mark. No. I'm down on my sleep. I need a clean sleep tonight. I need a clean 8 hours tonight. Would you sell Højlund at 100 million to Madrid, says Carlos? No. I like this, actually. I saw something over the weekend. What would Roy Keane be worth in today's market? Would he be a £100 million midfielder? And I was like, are you actually having a laugh? I mean, if we're talking Roy Keane at 26, 27, and Declan Rice cost 100 million, would Roy Keane be a £100 million midfielder? Only a Pratt says no. Of course he would. It'd be, for someone like Roy Keane, who's probably one of the top 5 captains in British football history, and they don't make him like that anymore, and he was a good player, I think you've got to be talking 125. We'll start at 125. Sin Game says 150. Yeah, well, look, I'd put Keane at 125. I'd put Gerrard at 150. Not because I think Gerrard's better, but Gerrard had a more rounded attacking game. Keane could get forward and score goals, but Gerrard had that, shooting range as well, which Keane didn't really have. So maybe Gerrard would be worth a little bit more because of that. But I'd take Keane over Gerrard every day of the week just because of personality and leadership. But yeah, I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I saw it over the weekend. Someone was saying, do you think Roy Keane would be a £100 million midfielder in the modern game? I was like, well, but Declan Rice and Caicedo cost £100 million. You're trying to tell me Declan Rice and Caicedo are better than Roy Keane? Slightly political, but in line with your experience with smoking, do you agree with the smoke-free 2030 movement and banning anyone born after January the 1st, 2009 from buying tobacco, says Connor? It's very political. I think it's a good idea. I think it's been in New Zealand where you legally can't buy cigarettes if you're born after a certain age. So it'll basically phase out smoking. But I'm also, as you're fully aware, when you do something like I do, i.e. promote opinion even if I don't agree with it, I believe in a democracy. I believe in freedom of speech within reason. And, well, actually, I do believe in freedom of speech, but not freedom of speech without consequence. So if somebody wants to say something racist or homophobic, then there are consequences for it. They shouldn't say it, but there will be a consequence for it. So, having a complete and utter smoking ban when some people can smoke, I get why they're doing it, because it'll have massive impact on cancer patients and everything in the future. But I don't actually agree with people forcefully being told they can't do something. But do many people smoke now anyway? I hardly see anyone smoking. Would you sell Mainu for 120 million, says Jazz and Dill? No. I'm going back to the original question. I wouldn't be selling Rasmus for £100 million either, because you've got something there that you want to use that fits you, and money isn't... I mean, look at what happened when Spurs sold Gareth Bale. They just spent it all on a load of shit. They got about 7 players for one, and sometimes you're better off with what you got. The instructor in my class didn't pass me because he personally doesn't like me. He showed it me many times. World is really not fair. Any advice, says Shahin? I don't know what we're talking about. Instructing you what? But the world isn't fair, Shahin. Good lesson. And I say it to my kids all the time. The sooner you learn that lesson, the better. Life's not fair. Because if you think it's fair, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. If you think you're going to get what you deserve in life, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. You always need to be aware that you never know how the cards are stacked. And as good as you are, somebody might have a cheat code. And that's life. I firmly believe you can get where you want to get, but you've got to get there with... the intelligence that the cards are sometimes stacked against you. Would you sell Mainu? Yeah, I've done that one. Thank you very much. Some good questions coming in tonight. Appreciate it. 15 minutes gone. Relatively good start from Crystal Palace here so far. I just don't know whether they've got the goal threat. It's interesting for me, though, because I haven't got Cole Palmer in my FPL team. I have, but I benched him. And Garnacho didn't get anything yesterday, and it was going to be between Garnacho and Palmer. Remember when Freddos were 10p a go? You can always measure inflation against the price of a Freddo, says Matt. You know what? I got a text today from my phone provider, and I don't know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm glad I'm going to mention it. I got a text message from my phone provider today, and they said from March the 1st, your phone bill's going up by £6 a month. And I was like, that's not an insignificant amount, is it? That's 72 quid a year that's going up by. I mean, maybe that's normal. I mean, the same will happen with Sky and everything else, won't it? But every year, I don't think they whack it up by inflation. I don't. Paula, the volume's not low. Turn it up yourself. Hi, Mark. Can we do... Sorry, Paula. That sounded really rough, but it's not. It's the same as it's always been. He goes to check. Has been known not to be what it should be. Oh, Paula, you're right. It's nowhere near what it should be. She's right. This is why you always have to check. Don't be dismissive. It was way down. Let's get it back up again. It needs to go way up. You're probably going to notice a difference in that. It's going to go way louder now. It was low. Big shout out to Paula. Right, Palace have got a good chance here. He's overhit the cross. It's a shame. No, Nathan, we don't need justice for Paula. She's got it absolutely spot on. That reminds me, actually. New month. I should be able to gift out some memberships here, I'm hoping. It's a shame you can't personally give them out, because it'd be nice to give it to Paula. The memberships, nothing else. None of that filth. I was hoping to do a driving with Goldbridge this week, but I'm not going to get time. Okay, I don't know why that's not working. Nice ball out to Chilwell. Corner. I don't know. I'm sure everyone else finds this with YouTube. Like, oh, here it is. It's all right. Got it. Found it now. Why is that not working there? Here we go. 5. Here we go. 5 coming. 5 free memberships coming in. You'll have a badge next to your name for the month of February. And I've got another 5 to do here as well. Don't say I don't ever give you anything. 5 memberships there as well. So I've just gifted out 10 there. Get your badge in. Thanks for your support. Changes every month all the way to platinum, by the way. But if you've been gifted it, you only get it for a month anyway. I can't give it out, Don Goatbridge, to individuals. Otherwise, I would have given it to Paula. But It did remind me to do that. Would you sell Rasmus? And if so, for how much? Apparently Madrid are looking at him if they can't get Mbappe or Haaland, says Charlie. Have you been watching the United stand? I wouldn't sell Rasmus. I don't think there's a price on this planet I'd sell Rasmus for. And that's simply because I think he's got the potential to be absolutely fantastic. He's got a very distinct profile as a striker, which I don't think is easy to find. He's quick, he's good in the air, he's physical, he can dribble, and he's left-footed. And I don't think you can put a price on that, because the potential for it to be something really special would make him priceless. So at this moment in time, no, I wouldn't. Thor, thank you for joining the Members Club. And Jake says, have you heard that Southgate is being considered for the Crystal Palace job if Hodgson gets the sack? It'd be a great choice for Crystal Palace because he used to play for them. What would you value Garnacho at, says Diane. I think at the moment I'd probably value Garnacho at about 80 million, but I wouldn't sell him for 80 million. I think that if he continues to grow the way he has over the last 2 years, by the time he's 22, considering he's 19, I'd be putting him around the 100, 150 mark. But that's very speculative because he's got to become more, grow from what he is. Rachel's just gifted a membership. Palace on the attack here. Get the cross in. There's loads in the box. Twat. Why is he doing step overs when he's got people in the box? Fucking hell. They ain't got the brains, have they, some of these players? Love your content, Mark. What's your opinion on Watford, says Oliver. I don't think I've ever been to Watford to have an opinion on it. Elton John. I like his music. Wayne says, we dodged a bullet with Poch. Dear God, they are poor. You know what? With Chelsea, they're really weird. I remember watching them before Christmas at Stamford Bridge against Man City and thought they looked really good. Hold on. Get your shot off. Good save. Why is... where's the Chelsea defence there, closing that shot down? There's plenty of defenders here. Watch this. Thiago Silva just stands still. He should be sprinting across. Not quick enough. Yeah, I thought Chelsea against Villa last week in the Cup played well. I thought Chelsea a couple of times this season have played well. But then in games like this, you watch them. It's almost like they play better against the better teams. And against like anybody outside the top four, they really don't have an identity. I think against the better teams who implement their style of play against Chelsea, they're okay. But when they're the favourite, they've got nothing. Do you miss playing football, says Constantine? I do, but I'm going to be back playing a few games this year. I'm looking forward to it. Injury permitting. I'm not injured at the moment, but when you try and get back to match fitness, when you hit my age, you've got to be so careful because your ankles, your knees. Well, we should not be worried. Rasmus is United by heart. Rasmus, says Carlos. Welcome to Members Club, J Snap. And Power Back, thank you very much for your super chat. Philip Sutton's a legend. He says he's just gifted 5 memberships as well. So we've had about 15 memberships given out here already. We should not also what was that? Brian Gallagher says if you had to, out of Garnacho, Mainu and Højlund, which one would you sell? Oh, that's a horrible question. That's basically start, bench, sell for Garnacho, Mainu and Højlund. Brian has given us a $5 super chat for this, so I can't refuse it. If you hadn't, I would. I like all 3. I don't want to get rid of any of them, but I will answer the question. So I'm going to start Højlund. I'm going to bench Garnacho, and I'm going to sell Mainu. And the only logic behind that is that I've seen Garnacho for longer. I like Rasmus out of those 3 the best because he's a striker. And Mainu's been here the least amount of time. But, yeah, I'd struggle with that. I'd be crying. I'd be crying at the gate saying, Mainu, I didn't want to do it. Nico says, how about them Chiefs? Great Super Bowl watch-along. They did play well. Madawiki down the right-hand side. It's a good run. Cut back. Too many touches there. I mean, you have that run, and then you're basically going back to the halfway line. We've not had a poll yet, Mark. Can I suggest Palmer or Elise? And I hope you're doing well, says Hessen. It's a great one. I love these. We're always open to either ors. We had a cracking one on the... What was that one last night? We were doing the Super Bowl watch-along last night, and we had an absolutely brilliant either or. I think it was Isaac against Nunez, wasn't it? Was it that? I'm tired. I don't remember. Elise versus Palmer. Okay. There you go. Would you take Guehi at United, says Joel? Hold on. Oh, no, they're going to get rid of it. Yeah, I don't disrespect it. I mean, he's another one who's out for Palace at the moment, isn't it? I mean, how many injuries have they got? Guehi, Elise, Eze. A lot of players to have out missing. What's your favourite beer, says Constantine? Oh, I get asked this a lot. Don't really have one. I'll walk into a pub and I'll go, you know, tonight I feel like a pint of Moretti or Madri or Peroni. Sometimes if they've got a Foster's or something like that, I'll just feel nostalgic and I'll have a pint of Foster's. Tell you what you never see anymore, Heineken. When I lived in Dublin, I'd often have a pint of Heineken. Amstel's nice as well. Don't really get Corona anywhere. I tell you what, one beer they used to have that I really used to like, and I haven't seen it for ages. Can you remember Brahma? I used to like a Brahma. They were quite. I think they were quite high in alcohol. But I haven't seen them in ages. Used to have it on tap. It's a Brazilian beer, Brahma. And they used to have it on tap in a lot of places in the UK. I don't think you can even buy it now. Apparently they got it at Asda. Hi Mark, when you coming to Dudley, says Wolves TV. I've not been for a while, actually. I think the last time I was in Dudley was when I went to Duncan Edwards' grave. Harvard Edge Egg says, I read somewhere that Liverpool is developing something with VRR glasses. Do you think this is possible in the near future, says Harvard? I do think it will happen, yeah, the VRR stuff. I don't know how successful it would be, though. I mean, look, I think about that, and I'm watching this game, and I've got the match there. I've got my laptop here. I'm looking at stats. I'm reading with you. I'm having a drink. You know, I can check my phone. The thing about VR, I've got a VR headset, and there's some great games on there that I play. I predominantly use it for like fitness stuff. I think it's great for that, but I don't know whether I'd be like, I think the novelty might wear off quite quickly. Maybe that's because I've just grown up watching it on the TV, and I like the freedom of there's the TV and there's the pub, there's the crisps, you know, there's my mate to chat to. But good attack by Palace. Thiago Silva's there. What was that on the edge of the box? Half an hour gone. Why do you glaze Arsenal so much? And Palmer's beating Elise by 53%. Oh my God! One of the goals of the season. Absolute banger. Absolute banger this is. Watch this one back. Fought like a traction engine. It's absolutely fantastic. Lerma. What a goal. Roy Hodgson, well, he's not celebrating as much as he would have done in his 50s. He's got to watch his bad back hip. That is an absolute screamer. And this game needed that. This is fucking fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. How far out? Madueke loses it. Bit of a fight. Edge of the... Oh, he's a long way out when he hits that. I mean, actually, do we question the goalkeeper a little bit here? Long, long way out. No one closes him down. There's a big gap to hit it. I don't know. That's the angle I want. No, you can't blame the keeper for that. He's full stretch. It's an absolute screamer, that is. I think sometimes when you get beat from that distance, you do look at the keeper and say, you know, should he get beat? But he's at full stretch. The ball's moving. It's just a delightful hit. An absolute delight. This is why we watch football. What were people saying? Oh, boring mid-table game. And you get to witness a great goal like that in real time. Absolute screamer. Lerma for Crystal Palace. And he certainly put a cat amongst the pigeons. Eagles against the Lions. Cat's got no chance. Or a pigeon. Makes the game very interesting, though. I mean, to be honest, if I was going to pick who to score first in this, I'd want Palace to score. Makes Chelsea have to come out for it. You can't account for goals like that, though, can you? You can't account for goals like that. Then Villa scored. I was calm. We don't lose at half time, says Mario. Mark, I've been watching you for years. Opinions on West Ham this year, says Guvertron. Look, I'll always bow down to the fans of the club because they know more than we do. As an outsider, David, and as somebody who's witnessed it, David Moyes' football is not very desirable. But the flip side of that is that he won a European trophy for them and they're in the top 8. And West Ham shouldn't be in the top 8. So it's that balance, isn't it? The football's not great and West Ham fans don't like it, but where you are in the league is way above where you should be. So, you know, you could probably have better football and not be as high in the league. But I'll always respect, you know, genuine football fans' opinions on their own club. I don't respect Arsenal fans who are screaming Arteta out because I think that's just the same as Man United fans still screaming Ten Hag out. I think that's stubbornness. I don't think that's about what's best for your team. Goal of the week, says Cloud. Yeah, it was an absolute banger. And this is set up really well for Palace now because they've got a 3v3 and they can just counter. And it's a shot wide. Ryan says, why shouldn't West Ham be in the top 8? Well, you should be in the top 8. You are in the top 8. Look, there you are. What I'm saying is, nobody would have put you in the top 8 at the start of the season. The question you've got to ask as a West Ham fan is, if you sacked David Moyes, oh, they're saying, was there a foul in the build-up from the Lerma goal? I mean, you know what? The defending from Chelsea's shit there. I don't blame the goalkeeper at all, but he's on the training ground there. I mean, you look at that in slow-mo for Lerma. You can see him get out of his feet. He's staring at the ball. He's concentrating on his technique. I mean, in the you give anybody a shot like that on the training pitch and they'll score that goal. The closing down is abysmal, but they've not even looked at whether it was a foul. But it was crap defending. Zahar would be jealous of that. I think Palace can get a result. Feel Chelsea are 2 years behind United and United are 2 years behind Arsenal, says Matt. I think that's probably a very good analysis there. Mark, is the Palace job desirable at all? Who do you think would be a good replacement for Hodgson? I thought you were putting it forward to me then, Sully. Imagine that, Goldbridge. Oh, that's why I'm wearing my red, white and blue. Look, I'm a FIFA career mode veteran. I'm a championship manager / football manager veteran. I've done it all, you know. United, taking on a team at the bottom. Palace is one of those jobs you just get quite excited about, don't you? Can you be the guy that takes them to big places? But seriously, I think for someone like Crystal Palace, what are Crystal Palace? They're the quintessential mid-table club. Like, they're not going to finish in the top 10, really. and they should never get relegated. Someone's got to finish mid-table. I think that's what Palace really should be. So when you start drifting towards relegation, you're not doing a good job. And when you start getting into the top 10, you're doing a good job. So that's what I'm on about with West Ham. I think West Ham are a mid-table club, in my opinion. And where they are at the moment is above that. So I think they're overachieving. It's whether you want to twist and be better than that. Because Brighton have shown you can be better than that. Emery's shown with Villa you can be better than that. What's up with all the holes in the socks, says Christian. I think they had a moth problem at the Chelsea training ground. I was reading about it. What Wolves players would you have at Man United, says George? I like Neto. I do like Neto. I don't mind Kuna. I like Hwang Hee-chan as well. I don't mind Kuna. I just don't think he's prolific enough. But I think they're all good players. Gary Barlow, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. Absolutely fantastic. You're very, very welcome. What's Wolves player? Yeah, so I like Neto. I do like Hwang Hee-chan as well. Zaha would be jealous of that. We've done that one. And thank you very much. Thanks for the super chats coming in. Appreciate that. Start, bench or sell? Shaw, Rashford and Delo. Oh, Owen. You cheeky little get. I still think in those circumstances I'm selling Delo, I'm benching Rashford and I'm starting Shaw. And that's just personal. But on form at the moment, Delo's the best of the three. There are a few seasons Crystal Palace should have been relegated, in my opinion, says Constantine. I really like Luke Shaw. Some people just have it. Luke Shaw's a funny player for United fans. I think he's the best left back in Europe behind Andy Robertson. I think he's massively important to United. Yes, he's become injury prone and it's frustrating, but when fit, I think he's an incredible player for us. We've seen he's arguably our second best left centre back as well. I think he could play left centre back for most clubs in the Premier League outside the top four. And yet there's still a proportion of United fans that have still never really liked him. It's I'm not going to get into the debate because it's there. It's not one I can win, but I really rate him and always have. Chelsea 79% possession so far, says Thomas Hopley. No attempts. It's pathetic. And Ali says, start, bench, sell, burgers, pizza, fish and chips. Easy. I don't really eat pizza that much. And I've gone off fish and chips. So I'd probably sell fish and chips, bench pizza and start a burger. I didn't say Shaw's better than Robertson. It's amazing what people... don't we live in a society now where people listen to hear what they want to hear more than ever? I said behind Andy Robertson, and then I've seen 4 or 5 people saying better than Robertson. Ha ha ha! Never actually said it. This is what I mean about it's not even out of context. It's incorrect. Selective hearing. Tell you what I think the biggest problem with society at the moment is, and you see it all over social media, is, and we see it in football as well, but you see it on news, you see it on everything. Well presented content that passes itself off as accurate, which actually, when you check it, isn't. It's just opinion, and you see it about all sorts of things: vaping, eating, sleeping, and then in a footballing sense, this player who plays up front for Benfica is going to be the next Cristiano Ronaldo, because somebody has clipped it up with some good footage, spoke over it in a clear way, and made it look in 4K. It's misinformation passed off as expertise and factually correct. It's so dangerous. I watch a lot of stuff, not just football, and I'm very interested in all sorts of stuff. Whether it be sleeping patterns, diet, education, learning, reading. And there's a lot. I think that's the hardest thing these days is verification of factual information. What's opinion and what's actually real? Because a lot of people pass opinion off as being factually correct. What's your opinion on old people, says Jake 463. I think up until 80, fine. And then after that, really, should we look at banning them from driving? Like I was driving today, and I mean, look, you've got to be selective because some 80-year-olds. I mean, look, Harrison Ford's well into his 80s. He's still doing films. I bet he can drive. But I was driving along today, and I'm like, I'm behind this car. I wasn't even in a rush, really, but I was actually quite relaxed. 21 miles an hour. Massive, massive queue behind me. Comes to a roundabout. Takes the third exit. Doesn't bloody indicate. And as he goes round the roundabout, nearly hits the car parked on the other side of the road. And I'm like, I could see it was an old fella. And I thought, mate, you shouldn't be driving. You shouldn't be driving. Clint Eastwood's 91 and he still makes movies. Exactly. I think it should just be done on a case-by-case basis. Slow driving is not... Some people say this and they're wrong. People who drive slow are just as dangerous as people who drive fast. No, they're not. If you get hit by somebody who's driving slow, the chances of you surviving are massively increased. It's not the same. The amount of people I hear go, people who drive slow are just as dangerous as people who drive fast. No, they're not. It's like me punching you in slow motion or punching you in as hard as I can. There's a very, very big difference. But it is slow driving is dangerous. They do cause accidents, Michael told, but they're not as dangerous statistically as people who drive fast. You're convincing yourself. That's just people who drive fast convincing themselves that they're not as dangerous as other people. Hi, Mark. The MS is in a right mood tonight, Mrs., says Dan. No action later. However, feet up, watch along, and a Chinese on the way. I'll live without the pie. Mate, you've got 48 hours to turn the pie around. Cook the pie. Please the pie. Eat the pie. Whatever you're thinking about doing. Valentine's Day on Wednesday. What are your plans? You don't like tomato and cheese on your burger, says Joel. Yes, I do. I just don't massively like pizza. I don't mind pizza, but it's so Moorish. If I could have a slice of pizza, it'd be fine. But I can't. It's like a packet of Hobnobs. I can't just have one. Chelsea on the attack. Cole Palmer. 2 minutes to go to half time. Crystal Palace leading from a wonder goal. Cross comes in, headed away, and they clear. Keep up the good work, says Sebastian. Love the content. SB123 says, Mark, have you recovered from the Super Bowl? I feel battered. Mate, I don't know what I'm surviving on, really. I think it's gonna. I think it's not logical how much I'm still able to talk. I shouldn't be able to talk. Like, got up at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning and didn't go to bed till 4 o'clock on early hours of Monday morning, and then I was up at 9:15. Been all over the place today, and I'm sat here doing a watch along till 10 o'clock tonight. And it'll hit me tomorrow. When I used to work nights, the longest night stint we used to do was 4 in a row, and it always used to hit me about 2 or 3 days after it. Let's have a look at the stats in this game, because I had it on my list to do, and I'm going to do it. Let's have a look at this. Stats Carousel, sponsored by OneFootball, by the way. You can download that for free by scanning the QR code or going through the link in the description. Got all your latest breaking football news and transfer news there, score updates, and individual player stats as well. Obviously, we've got the team stats here. No shots and no shots on target is absolute shite from Chelsea. Absolute shite. Half time and no shots on target. Fucking rubbish. Oh, is that count as a shot? I think it was. And that's my big question. I've been saying this for a long time. You know, we've had this media witch hunt towards Ten Hag all season. What's the style of play? What's he trying to do? Man United, what they're trying to do? And I'm like, hold on a fucking minute. We haven't spent £1 billion in 12 months. Remove your lips from Poch's arse and tell us what his style of play is. Because I tell you what, this is not the first time I've seen Chelsea at half-time with next to no fucking shots on goal. They've got a dreadful identity, Chelsea. I don't see a style of play. I don't see a philosophy. I don't get it. And that's my criticism of his front three. Madueke, Jackson and Palmer. There's no synergy there at all. There's no... They just look like three individuals. No cohesion, says Braden. Exactly. Mark, pick me a meal I have to make for tonight, says Tasty. Well, I had meatballs and pasta tonight, and we absolutely loved it. We did buy it from Sainsbury's from... I can't remember what the name of the brand is, but me and Seb really like it. We had it in the summer a few times when we were on our own, so very nice. I'm starting a petition to remove Chelsea from Big Six, says Thomas Hapley. And I love Poch for taking away the heat from Ten Hag, says Ali. I think Eddie Howe probably does as well. That's not a penalty. Bit of a shove in the back on Munez from Thiago Silva. I think if it's outside the box, you might get a free kick sometimes, but you're never getting a penalty for that. Come on. Let's get real. Casido's playing for Palace today. Shocking performance so far, says Nathan. I mean, does anybody... This is an interesting point, and I've got a take on this. Does anybody... Like, if you've got a Liverpool fan, do you regret not getting Casido? Obviously, you won't do because you're doing well without him. Arsenal, we're looking at Casido. Do you regret? Obviously not. You got Declan Rice. But I must admit, as a Man United fan, I still wish we'd bought Casido. I know we couldn't afford it, but I think people look at a player going to a club and go, ha ha, flop, he's shit. But would Casido be shit at Man United? Would he be shit under Klopp? I don't think he would. Do you genuinely think Casido would be playing like this for Liverpool? And that's my issue. I think there is a real problem at Chelsea of identity. They're a bunch of individuals. They've got no camaraderie or cohesion, and it's very, very visible. There's no relationships, there's no connections. It's just bad. So I do think Casido's a good player. And what I would say about Casido is I was a massive, massive fan. It's half time, by the way. I was a massive fan of Basuma at Brighton. And I really wanted him to come to United. And I thought he was a brilliant player. And when he went to Spurs, I was like, that's a brilliant bit of business by Spurs. And I remember in that first season, probably about February, I had a load of people sort of going, Goldbridge doesn't know ball. Look at these tweets about Basuma. And I was like, well, yeah, it's not worked. But I genuinely think he's a good player. And all I said was, look, it's not worked at Spurs, but I genuinely think he was a good player. And I don't also think that Conte's really given him much of a chance. He hasn't given Spence much of a chance. He hasn't given Basuma much of a chance. He didn't really seem to give any of his new signings a chance. And then Conte goes, and suddenly Basuma becomes one of the best midfielders in the league under Ange. So that's what I'm saying. You know, Basuma was a huge flop at Spurs, and now he's a huge success because he's playing under a different manager in a different system. And that's what I'm saying. I think if Casido had gone to Klopp at Liverpool, he wouldn't be what people are calling now. I think he'd be a success. And that happens quite a lot with players. You know, you can go to the wrong club at the wrong time. And I think a lot of players, like Mudryk is absolute shit at Chelsea. If he'd actually gone to Arsenal, the club that scouted and wanted him, would he be still a flop? I don't think he would. Different system, different confidence, different mentality, different coach. It can work like that. I mean, I'm not saying that these players wouldn't flop as well, but I think sometimes you do have to take into account the fact that the move, and this is why players need to be very, very careful. A lot of players probably look at signing for United over the last decade as the wrong move. Schneidlin at Southampton, all right. I don't think United was the level for him, but it was a bad move for him. He lost all momentum in his career. There's been a few like that. What is the main difference between Caicedo in Brighton and Chelsea, and why is he struggling so much, says Havard? I mean, there's probably a few takes on this. I think the big difference between Caicedo at Brighton and Caicedo at Chelsea is that at Brighton, you've got a very defined structure and plan as a team. And even, you can take players from Brighton and put them in an Everton team, and they're probably worse players. But you put them in a Brighton team, and the structure is so good that it enhances them. And I think that that's the difference for Caicedo. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but in a Brighton team, everybody knows their role, and everybody does their role. At Chelsea, no one's got a fucking clue. You can see it. They've got no idea. That's pitiful. Absolutely pitiful. 1 shot and 0 on target at half-time against Crystal Palace. That's not a team with any cohesion. If you look at Brighton's midfield with Caicedo, his new role was exceptional. At Chelsea, he just flaps around. I would still have him at Liverpool, though, says Benjamin. Ten Hag would get so much out of these youngsters, says Nick. Mark, who do you think is the next manager to get the sack? Will it be a manager from this game? I love your content. I actually have got a podcast coming out tomorrow, Goldbridge Saves Football. Please do give it a download. That is one of the topics on the show tomorrow, so give it a listen. But my take is that we might... I do predict one, and I think it's a good one, but we've only had 2 sackings in the Premier League so far. The alternative is we don't get any sackings between now and the end of the season. I think Crystal Palace desperately don't want to sack Roy Hodgson, by the way. I think it's a respect thing. I think they know that this is Hodgson's last job. And I think they desperately just want to get to the end of the season and part ways in a respectful manner. And I think that's what Crystal Palace want to do. And then they should get Gareth Southgate. I think he'd be a brilliant appointment for Crystal Palace. Legend of the club. Yeah. I love Poch that have done that one as well. And the thing with United is all I see is now a fit team that played well, played Wolves with some informed players. Every problem still exists and nothing's been done in my eyes. Our lines are far too easy to play through, says Ted. 3 wins in a row against 3 top 10 teams. That doesn't happen by chance, Ted. You've got to be doing something right. I agree with you that Rome's not going to be built in a day, and a lot of United's problems are still there. I think when we went 1-0 up against Villa yesterday, it was incredible how Bruno Fernandes... We were basically playing a 4-2-4 and getting overrun in the midfield. But, it's halfway through a season, old habits die hard. And, yeah, I agree that structurally the discipline needs to be better. What a hit by Lerma this is as well. Absolute banger. It moves as well. It moves. The ball moves. I mean, the keeper's at full stretch. Great goal. Absolutely great. You know these trainers that Jamie Carragher's wearing and Petr Cech are wearing? What brand are they? Or are they just a style? I don't like the other guys. He's a crap. Don't like his at all. But I like Carragher's trainers and I like Petr Cech's trainers. They're nice. Fashion Bridge. I think they're just various different types, aren't there? Tots has been a member for 9 months, and thank you very much, Benjamin. A lot of people saying Reese trainers. I didn't know that. I didn't know they did trainers. I buy quite a lot. I buy quite a lot of stuff from there. Reese, they've got some quite nice clothes. Look like Skechers to me, says Daz. I'll check them out. 0 shots, 45 minutes, and I thought United were struggling, says Tony. Coopy says they could be Alexander McQueen's. They probably are with Carragher. If I know him, like I think I do, he'll be wearing Alexander McQueen's. I'm Ronnie Pickering. MR says I got those from Boss. I'll tell you what, I got some lovely white trainers. Let me show you these. I was looking for some white trainers, and you might have seen them on my Rasmus interview. I was looking for some white trainers, and I liked the fact that it had that on the back, and they were Ted Baker. And I never even knew they did trainers. I got given these at the... I'll never wear them. I might give these away. I got given them at the Sidemen. No two ways. They're really nice, but they're not really my thing. But they're quite nice. I've got loads of stuff to give away, actually. I'm going to start giving them away on the podcast. I'll show them on here. And then... in fact, I will give them away at the podcast, on the podcast tomorrow. So listen to it. There you go. Easy to do. Going back to players being better at different clubs. Look at all... Goldbridge saves football, by the way. Goldbridge saves football. I'll give those trainers away tomorrow. No two ways. Really nice trainers. I just won't wear them. So, yeah. I'll give them away on the podcast tomorrow. Listen to it. Goldbridge saves football. Going back to players... I'm not giving them away on here. I've given away 10 memberships on here. I've got to spread out the giveaways. Going back to players being different at different clubs, look at all of the Newcastle squad. We were cabbage under Bruce and have invigorated under Howe, says Ashling. Brilliant point. Brilliant point. Absolutely brilliant point. I love it. I love that sort of strategy. Yes, you're spot on. A few people asking about the podcast, and I'm just going to remove the scores and put it into the stats carousel for you. So if you aren't aware about the podcast, then that's where you can scan the QR code, give it a follow, and then you'll get it tomorrow when it goes out, and give it a listen, and you could be winning one of those. Well done. Martin says, start, bench, sell, Fernandez, Gameres and Rice. Martin, I presume we're talking about Bruno Fernandes. I really like Bruno Gameres. He's a bit of a shithouse, but I like those sort of players, and he's a brilliant player. I'm starting Declan Rice. I think he's been brilliant this season. I'm benching Bruno Gameres and I'm selling Bruno Fernandes. That's football opinion, by the way. United stand, I'm starting Bruno Fernandes because that's red-tinted glasses. But on a purely trying to be fair, pragmatic, which I do try to be on here, I try and take the emotion out of it. Declan Rice has been incredible for Arsenal this year. I think Bruno Gameres has been as well. And Bruno's been a bit average this season. To be honest with you, I love him, but he's not. I said this after the game yesterday. I gave Bruno a 6.5 yesterday. I gave him a 6.5 against West Ham, and I gave him a 6 against Wolves. Bruno will know himself. He should be at an 8. He's just not at the level he normally is at the moment. And but if you want a ready-made excuse what the problem might be with Bruno Fernandes, nobody's played more football than him in the last 18 months in European football. I just think he plays too much football because he loves it and he can't take a break. But I think he is suffering from overplaying. Yeah, he looks like a player like that. Oh, if we're talking about Enzo Fernandez, yeah, I'll sell him as well. Yeah, I'd sell Enzo Fernandez and keep Bruno G and Declan Rice, definitely. And also, I prefer number 8s and number 6s to number 10s at the moment. I just love the number 6. I mean, that's where I played my career at the end of this end anyway, and I played the game like that. I think the number 6. You look at the Rodris and the Carricks. I mean, I grew up with people like David Batty. He was a good number 6, but get the ball, didn't fucking pass it well. I love the evolution. And I think Michael Carrick and Busquets were sort of the players that I admired in that role, who take the ball off the back four and conduct the game, break up the players well. I love that role, and Rodri's very good at it. Declan Rice is very good at it. Bruno Guimaraes is sort of that role as well. I see him a bit more box to box, but yeah, I love that position. It's such an important position as well, as is the number 10. But I do like that role. I don't disagree, and the attack is improved, but I don't see the tactics improvement. Just a better playing, understanding of each other, and confidence. I can understand till start of the next season, says Ted Tango, in relation to United. Funny thing about Poch, Ten Hag debate, is if Poch was out of a job, some Ten Hag out fans would be screaming for Poch. Yes, they would, Olafemi. And stuff the trainers. I want your pyjama pants. Thanks for all your hard work. Great stuff as well, says Simon. What, you want me to give these away? You probably say you don't want me to wash them, do you, either? Oh, God. Get yourself on eBay. That was a great point by Ashling as well about Eddie Howe and Steve Bruce and how the same section of players can suddenly be very different under a different coach. Great points. Well made. Please do subscribe to the channel, by the way. Bottom right-hand corner. We're only 100 away from 105,000, so we could hit that tonight. Bottom right-hand corner to subscribe. You've got daily content on That's Football. Loads going on. Just to tell you what we've got coming ahead this week. I was humming and ahhing about Champions League watch-alongs because I don't genuinely think the final 16 is that interesting. However, I've bowed to public demand, mainly because I want to watch Real Madrid. So I'm going to do a double watch-along tomorrow of Copenhagen against Man City and Leipzig against Madrid. And that's one of the positives about the Champions League is you can do double watch-alongs. So we're going to do a double watch-along tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, Leipzig against Real Madrid and Copenhagen against Man City. Wednesday, I might skip it. PSG, Sociedad and Lazio Bayern. I'm not 100% sure on that, but definitely going to do one tomorrow night. Fuck off to the Europa League. Not going anywhere near you. Thank you very much. Interestingly, there is no game for Liverpool this week either, is there? Because it's the knockout round playoff, isn't it? So there's no game for any of the English clubs in the Europa League because they all got through nicely. And the same for Aston Villa in the Conference League, so they don't play. Saturday, I'm doing Brentford against Liverpool at 12:30. Man City against Chelsea at 5:30. And then Sunday, I'll be doing Luton against Manchester United, which would be lovely. So, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Next Wednesday night, Arsenal play Porto and Liverpool are playing Luton in the Premier League. And next Tuesday night, Man City are playing Brentford as well. And there's Monday night football next week between Everton and Palace. So lots of football at the moment. That's what we're saying. Players coming out for the second half. I mean, Chelsea won't even get a fucking draw out of this if they don't have a shot on target. It's all right saying they're going to get back into it, but abysmal, absolutely abysmal so far from Chelsea. We've had a very good either-or running along this show as well. And if I was to tell you this, 51% of you have gone with Elise and 49% of you have gone with Cole Palmer. And I don't understand this. I don't understand this at all. Because between Elise and Palmer, surely it's Palmer. What is this Elise hype at the moment? He's a good player. And this is what I mean about, and look, this is me expressing my opinion. Nkunku's coming on for Chelsea, about bloody time. But this is what I mean about the spread of false information, because the Elise story is massively hyped from YouTube clips and TikTok clips and Twitter clips from people who are really excited about him. And that's absolutely fine. But there's a lot of those little 30, 40, 50, 60 second clips going around of Elise that really do go around a lot and hit a lot of football. And I think that is why this poll is so close, because I like Elise, but he hasn't played that much this season, and yet he's got more of a vote than Palmer, who I think's been arguably one of the signings of the season. So that to me is about the spread of misinformation. I don't think for 1 second it should be close between Palmer and Elise. But I understand why, because it's that massive spread of clips of what a great player he is, because some people want him to sign for Man United. He's a good player, Elise, but I don't think it's close this season between him and Cole Palmer. I really don't. But look, I bow down and respect it. It's a democracy, and there we go. I'll catch up on the Super Chats in a minute. I'm just waiting for this second half to start so I can click the timer, and then I will get it. George says you're wrong. Elise's much better than Palmer. Yeah, I bet you've got a Crystal Palace season ticket and you've watched him every game this season, haven't you? Or more likely, you've seen the TikTok clips. And somebody with a voiceover has told you what an amazing player he is, and you've just swallowed it. I don't think he is better than Palmer. But he's a good player. Come on, why are we not starting the second fucking half? What's going on again? What are we doing again? It's fucking VAR again, isn't it? It's the batteries again. Yeah. Bloody VAR batteries again. Technical battery pack. I fucking had it. I've had it up to here. Don't make sure you do listen to the podcast tomorrow morning. Not only because you can win the trainers, but I go massively in on VAR again. And this is what the Goldbridge Saves Football podcast is all about. We get in on the real things that get swept under the carpet. There's a huge thing from the weekend that's not been discussed at all. It's been swept under the carpet. Mates rates. Disgusting. Disgusting. I wanted to be in bed at 10 o'clock. It's 9:10. For fuck's sake, mate. This is disgusting. Players on the pitch, seizing up, having to jog around because Pratt's officiating are fucked up again. They're so far up their arse, they haven't checked their bloody batteries. Absolute joke. They're a rule unto themselves. They think they're bloody. They think they're Ollie Murs. They do. They think they're bloody Ollie Murs. Look at this, hiding down the tunnel because their batteries aren't ready. Michael Oliver, my batteries aren't working. You've just had a fucking 15-minute half time, mate. 15 minutes on half time, and then you've not. This has happened. It's unprofessional, Kevin. It really is. It's very unprofessional. It's not good enough. Poll: country wins the World Cup or your club wins the treble. This is Gary. I want the treble, thank you. I will do that one though. Is Mainu over or underrated? I think he's amazing. How can you be overrated at 18 years of age when you've only been playing for 2 months? Come on. Dan John says his Chinese arrived and he's very excited for the podcast. Lovely stuff. Miami to New York, Mark, in the speakers, 15 hours left, says Nick. And eyes on Rooney tomorrow, target for the summer, says Aaron. Start bench sell, Ahmad, Anthony or Palestri. I don't know, Doris. I mean, look, Ahmad's not played for Man United, so how can I, I can't do speculative. This is a fucking joke. This is really winding me up. Name the 3 worst goalkeepers you've seen in the Premier League, says Harvard. I think that's an impossibility to do as well, because the worst goalkeepers will be people that weren't up to it, you know. This is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. You've had a 15-minute half-time and we've sat here for 5 minutes with your kit not working. Sack Michael Oliver for being unprepared for the second half of football. Lynn, sack Michael Oliver for wasting everybody's time when they're tired after the Super Bowl. Absolute. It just gets worse and worse for this, doesn't it? Just when you think the PGMOL and cannot mess up this season anymore, they come out with a new tactic. He's not even bothered. He's laughing about it. Do you fancy running? He's going to walk. Don't worry, mate. You know, let's play till 4 o'clock in the morning like the Super Bowl. It's fine. Right, are we ready to go now? Let's play ball. There we go. Massive half-time there then. Villa confirmed that Kamara is out with an ACL. Our season is pretty much over now. I reckon United will grab the spot. Cairo, that's really sad. You know, look, I want United to finish above Aston Villa. I want United to finish above Spurs. But there's so much respect for what both those clubs have done. And I think a lot of United fans would agree with me. You know, Spurs have been fantastic this year. Villa have been fantastic this year. And it's a bit like Enciso with Brighton when he got that injury. You know, of course, Brighton could challenge Man United and it weakens them. But I think injuries... I'm never happy when anybody gets injured. I mean, look, I don't want Man City to win it, but I think De Bruyne missing half the season was sad. So, yeah, that's really bad for Aston Villa. Have they shown Taylor Swift yet, says Viking Crypto Warrior? I tell you what. I watched that Super Bowl last night. It was a really, really good game. It goes to overtime. The Chiefs win it. They show the guy winning the winning touchdown for 2 seconds, and then they cut to Taylor Swift. And that was me done. I'm like, all right, night everyone. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, the Super Bowl is an accumulation. Goal for Chelsea! Conor Gallagher, what a season he's having. Big goal as well. First shot on target. 1-1. I do wonder if that big break actually has had an impact on Palace, because they're still snoozing here. But Chelsea certainly weren't. They've come out with some conviction. And it's a big goal from Gallagher. Took it well. I can't believe. Well, I can believe it because they need to raise money from homegrown players. But if Chelsea genuinely want to sell Conor Gallagher, there should be a big bloody queue. Liverpool, Spurs, Man United, even Arsenal. I'd be looking at him. I really would. He's for me. I think he's their player of the season with maybe one or two others I can't think of at the moment. But I've been very impressed with him this season. And I just can't, the fact that they're looking to sell him would terrify me as a Chelsea fan, because the only reason you could be selling him is to raise money from a homegrown player. Mark, the half-time break was longer than the Usher half-time show, says Toro. Goal of the season nominations, Mark. Chat discussed, says Tom. I don't think I can talk about it after 4 hours sleep. My brain's sort of like living in the moment. It's not going to compute anything that it has to think about. Dan John says, Mrs. is annoyed that I didn't get her food. I've had enough now, Mark. I might leave her. Father-in-law did warn me about her. Says Dan. We're having a domestic in the chat here. Mark, your hair is military precise. What's your regime? It's just the cut. I had the cut last Friday, and it's very hard to get it wrong when you've got the track shaved and it's short. Just put a bit of water. You can do it without gel. You can just do it with some water. The refs are not serious. Watch them add 15 minutes, says Nigel. Well, Palace snoozing at the start of the second half here, and it's a whole half of hard work in the mud as Chelsea equalise within the first couple of minutes of this second half. Gold Scud says, start bench sell El Nini, Amrabat, Rodri. I'd sell Rodri. You're an absolute prat, mate. Neil says Palace froze up, waiting for those batteries. Oh, look. You can't use it as an excuse because it's not impacted Chelsea, but I'll tell you for free, if you're a player coming onto the pitch, ready to start a game, and then you end up waiting 5 minutes, mentally and physically, it's a problem. Of course it is. Fabled says, honest question, I can't get into NFL because it's too stop-start and lacks flow. How do you enjoy it when we want VAR to stop doing the same to football, says Fabled. Because American football is not football. They're a different sport. It's like watching snooker. I like watching snooker. It's a very relaxing game to watch. But it's nowhere near as exciting and fast-flowing as football. American football is a completely different sport. It is very stop-start and slow for some people, but I like it. But I can't watch it. I can only watch it in the playoffs and the Super Bowl because it takes up too much time. If you want to watch an American football game, you've basically got to park out 3-4 hours. And I can't do that. Here's Palmer. He's going to hit this. Ooh, just wide. When is Cooking with Goldbridge coming back? Says Golds. Whenever my schedule permits me time to actually set it aside and do it. Because it's not just cooking. You've got to set up the cameras and everything. Taylor says Todd Bowley's apparently put a bid in for Lerma for $2 billion. You wouldn't be surprised. I actually quite fancy Chelsea to win this now. Getting a goal so early. It only takes one shot to score, as somebody in the chat said a few minutes ago. Oh, well, do we think Chelsea have got a chance of getting any European football without winning a cup? Yeah, they have, because they're only 4 points off 7th. So they have got a chance. They're not going. I can't see them getting 6th because that's 10 points away. And they're certainly not going to get 5th or 4th, but they could get 7th or 8th. But they're so inconsistent. Like, you know, you're not going to get anything until you find a pattern of play and some sort of rhythm and synergy, and they don't have that. Well, we danced all night to the best song ever. Why am I singing that shit? Why am I seeing that shit? That's tiredness. Is Palace on the attack. Cross comes in. Good header by Thiago Silva. He should have hit that first time. That's a bad pass as well. Game's starting to open up a little bit here. Start, bench, sell. Henry, Shearer, Rooney. This is gold. Start, Henry. Bench, Rooney. Sell, Shearer. Shearer was a great goal scorer, but he ain't anywhere near the footballer that Rooney and Henry were. Yeah, I don't know why I've just sang One Direction. I'm really worried about my mental health. I don't even know where it came from. I mean, that's tiredness for you. I don't even know why I'd know that song. I certainly don't know why it would be in my head. That is an absolute social experiment, scientific experiment in sleep deprivation. There's no logic to it at all. I worry what could come out next. As long as we don't start singing Ollie Murs, I think we can all rest easy. This is good play by Palace. Edge of the box. Where are you going to go? Oh, God. Why did he not hit that first time? Lerma could have had his second goal there. It just came to him on the penalty spot. Now it's Chelsea on the attack. Don't jump in. Gusto. Very good creative fullback. Not very creative there. The game is starting to open up. Lovely ball here. And doesn't control it. Palmer. Edge of the box. Back into Palmer. Good play. And a block. I'll come out if you don't stop with the One Direction, says Dan John. You're taking the wrong direction. I need a good night's sleep. Super FC Gaming says Chelsea are going to win this. Watch out, Cole Palmer will score the winner. Well, I do think they probably will win it, but we're only 70 subscribers away from 105,000. Please do subscribe. Bottom right hand corner, get involved with That's Football. Palace on the attack again. He's in the box. Needs to cut this back. Goes for a cross. Ayew. And that's a foul. He won't get a corner for that. It's a foul, mate. It's a foul. You can't do that. Well, fair play to Palace. I mean, look, Chelsea will talk about injury problems, but no Guehi, no Elise, no Eze, 3 of their best players out. I think it's just a sign of the times of how bad Chelsea are, that they can't impress themselves on a team with so many injury concerns. I do like Anderson of Palace, though. I don't know what Anderson's ceiling is at Crystal Palace, but I do feel that he is a player that I really like. Did he move to them this summer as well? 27 years of age, be 28 in the summer. Probably not going to get a move, but he was on Fulham. He was on loan. No, he's been at Palace for a couple of years now. I don't know whether he's got a higher move in him. Decore's out as well, says Shifty. Gold says, who will win the Premier League and who will win the Champions League? I'd predict Man City for both. I don't want it to happen, but I think it's the logical pick at the moment. Who'd win in a fight between Ollie Murs or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? I don't think they'd have a fight. I think they'd end up just smiling at each other and probably going skiing. Arturo says, what do you think of the left back Mitchell for Palace, Mark? Good player. I think he was... he was getting mentioned in relation to England, wasn't he, at one point? I'm sure he was. Into the box, Mateta. Good block, Thiago Silva. Of course, we shouldn't, when we're talking about left backs, we shouldn't forget, when we're talking about injuries as well, how well Rico Henry was doing at Brentford before he got that injury as well. He's been out for most of the season. Facing Dexter, he's a member. He says, get the badge in, you twats. If you want to get a badge in, you can join the members club like FN and Facing Dexter. Oh, Thiago Silva's down injured now. I think he's going to be coming off as well. Colwell's warming up. Mark, start, bench, sell. Van Persie, Van Nistelrooy, Van Basten. Well, you've got to start Van Basten if you're old enough to remember what a brilliant player he was. Van Nistelrooy and Van Persie's interesting. I really do like Van Persie, but I'd put Van Nistelrooy ahead of him, so I'd have to sell Van Persie. If we sell Rashford, who can we replace him with, says Mario? Well, you just need to buy a winger if you're going to sell him. Hi, Mark. I have to admit that yours and Will's Arsenal predictions have been shocking recently, says Peter. Onto a positive, Viking Crypto says, the Rasmus interview was great. Which player would you interview from a club that's not Manchester United? I'd like to interview somebody like... I'd like to interview someone like Thiago Silva, actually. I think that'd be a really good interview. Player that's interesting. A lot of people go with the glamour, but they might not be that interesting. Oh, headed wide by Palace there. Goes for a goal kick. In the Premier League, are we talking about? My fear with some players is you could pick a really good player, but they might be so well... They might live in such a bubble and be so media trained that you just don't really get anything. What's the point if a player says, if they don't give you anything back, you know? Some of the managers would be good, I agree. Johnny M says, what about Deitch? Yeah, I think some of the managers would be better because they're might be more open to conversation. God, I'm setting my alarm for the morning. I'd love to be setting it for about 11 o'clock. That would be nice. Klopp would be great. Yeah, I'd love to interview Klopp. I like how Palmer is now winning on the poll because you gaslighted everyone into thinking they didn't know what they were talking about with Elise, says Robert. I didn't gaslight anybody. What are you talking about, Robbo? Take a fucking chill pill. Do you know what gaslighting means? Fuck off. Bloody hell. Some people really do over bloody hype stuff, don't they? It was a follow-up to a point about how people get influenced by misinformation, and there's a lot of clips about a lot of things that get well narrated that actually, evidentially, aren't really that worth that much. And I think a lot of people are voting Elise at the moment because there's a lot of compilations about him at the moment. He's getting a lot of positivity, but I think Palmer's a better player this year. If we sell Rashford, who could have done that one? What were your first football boots? Mine were goalless, says Kenneth. I think my first pair of football boots were probably some no-name football boots. I remember them having red laces. They The first football boots I remember having were probably Puma King or New Balance because they had the white tongue on them. Harvard Edge says, I have a rumour that someone has observed you at a ballet studio wearing a pink shirt. Is it true? Yeah, mate, I've been caught out there. Can you explain, says Rob, the 5th place in Champions League? Bit confused whether it's 4th or 5th. Okay. And would you sign any Chelsea player or Palace player, says Billy? Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, Man United need midfielders, so I would sign Enzo Fernandez. I would sign Casido, Conor Gallagher. I'd take any of those 3 for a start. And then from Crystal Palace, I mean, I've got no problem with this signing Michael Olise. I think it'd be a very good signing. So, yeah, I certainly would. Going back to the point about the 5th place thing. So it's very easy. I feel like I'm explaining the NFL rules here. So the way the league stands at the moment and has done for a number of years, 4th place will get you into the Champions League, top 4, etc., etc. This season, there is an opportunity that 5th place could get you into the Champions League. The reason for that is there is a new Champions League format coming in next season. And as part of that, UEFA are giving 2 bonus positions in the Champions League each year to the 2 countries that finish top in the coefficient scoring for that season. So basically, the 2 countries that perform best in Europe this year will get an extra spot. England, over the last 5 years, have been in the top 2 4 times. So there is a chance that England, the Premier League, if they do it again, they will get an extra spot, and therefore 5th place will get Champions League football. But for that to happen, you need Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, Brighton, and Aston Villa to go deep in the Conference League, Europa League, and the Champions League, because of course we've already lost West Ham as well. Don't forget West Ham. We've already lost United and Newcastle in the group stage. And I would expect Arsenal and Man City and Liverpool and Brighton and West Ham and Aston Villa to at least hit the quarterfinals. So I think 5th place has got a good chance, really. But it depends what's going on in the other countries. I don't know where we are in the coefficient at the moment. I think we're 3rd. I wonder if I can find it for you, actually, because it's not too difficult. UEFA coefficient 23, 24. No, that's not what I'm looking for here. So this article was dated today, and it's by Opta, and they're saying that depending on where you're from, 1 additional spot every team. Yeah, okay. I think we're. What's going on here? Despite Newcastle and Man United finishing bottom of their Champions League groups and not even qualifying for the Europa League, 6 of the remaining 8 English clubs are still in the competition: Man City, Arsenal, Brighton, Liverpool, Villa and West Ham. This means that England are projected to have a 77% chance of getting one of those top 2 spots, and that would mean 5th place in the Premier League this season. The fight for the other ticket looks like it's going to be between Italy and Germany, who have a roughly 50% chance. So we've got well, there you go. Opta are basically saying that we've got a 77% chance of getting an extra spot and 5th place. So 5th place looks like it's going to be a Champions League spot this year. 20 minutes to go here. Many people might have predicted a draw. I mean, look, I said at this. I actually look. I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I said at the start of the season you shouldn't get a Champions League spot for 5th place. It ruins the Premier League. That it's not a top 4 race, and I sort of stand like that. It dilutes the quality of the Premier League to a certain extent because the top 4 race becomes a top 5 race. But being in the position Man United are in, I bloody love this idea now. I was saying that in the summer in the belief that we'd always be comfortably top 4, but in this position, I absolutely love the fact that it might be top 5. I don't like the idea of the new... I mean, look, you've got to get your head around this. The new Champions League format next year is a bloody nightmare. I mean, everybody's in the same league, but you don't play everybody in the league. It's a bloody mess. I don't think it needed changing, but it's more games, it's more money. That's what it's all about. Mikael makes a good point. The league is better now, though, so 5 teams will still be very competitive. Well, yeah, because even if you go off the traditional teams, you've got Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Spurs, Villa, United, Newcastle, Chelsea would expect to be there. That's 8. So 8 for 5. What did you predict for win, lose or draw, says Fate? I don't know because we haven't done a win, lose or draw today because I didn't go to Leamington, so I'm going to have a week off. Thanks to everyone who's been tuning in, by the way. Please do subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner. We're only 50 subscribers away from 105,000. Push it, push it. Subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let's see if we can hit it tonight. It's not necessarily been a classic. We've seen a great goal from Crystal Palace. Don't forget, tomorrow night we've got a double watch-along. First time I've watched Real Madrid all season for 90 minutes, you know, tomorrow night. Looking forward to it. Bellingham's not playing. He's got an injury, which is a shame, but I still think it would be interesting to give them a watch against a team like Leipzig. And obviously we'll be keeping an eye on the Man City game, so it's a double watch-along tomorrow. But Chelsea have still only had 1 shot on target. And they've won another corner here. Chelsea's attack is dead, says Tristan. I just wonder if they've got that Victor Osimhen deal lined up. I always felt that he would be a good signing for them, but shot Copenhagen win, says Robbo. I doubt it. Even if they did win tomorrow over 2 legs, they're not going to be good enough. You should play VR Shark game, says Lewis. Bit of a pushing and shoving going on between Colwill and Anderson. I tell you what, Ivory Coast did well to win the AFCON, didn't they? Considering they nearly went out in the group stage. Sully, I love Vinicius Jr. Lee Berman says they're just cancelling each other out a bit here. I'm doing the Champions League tomorrow, Max. Yeah, I don't think I'll do it Wednesday. I might skip Wednesday and do tomorrow. I'm not massively feeling PSG Sociedad. And what's the other one? I forget because it's split across 2 weeks, isn't it? Who was it? PSG. Yeah, Lazio Bayern. Yeah. I might just stick to the highlights on those two. I was going to have a look. Yeah, so Real Madrid are playing Leipzig over 2 legs. Leipzig are 5th in the Bundesliga this season, not doing particularly well. Neither are Dortmund, really, are they? And they drew 2-2 with Augsburg at the weekend. Who's in the Leipzig starting lineup at the moment, Mark? So you've got Klosterman, Orban, Rahm, Enriks, Campe, Schläger, Simons, Olmo, Openda, Sesko. We've got a few good players. I've played the game. They've got a few good players. Paulson's still there. What about Dortmund, Mark? What are they doing this season? They won at the weekend against Freiburg. Sancho came on for like 2 minutes because he's been injured, but oh, good save by Petrovic. Chelsea do not want to be conceding again. They want a late winner here. Fulkrug, Malen, Bino Gittins, Royce, Chan, Sabitzer. Adeyemi on the bench. Yeah, I look forward to that. I look forward to watching Real Madrid tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to watching that, actually, because I haven't watched Real Madrid for 90 minutes this season yet. And also, Leipzig, Sesko's a player I thought looked quite interesting a couple of years ago. Openda gets a lot of praise. Olmo and Simons as well. So it could be an interesting game. Looking forward to that now. Thoughts on Chelsea? Yeah, look, they're just not a good watch, Chelsea, and that's really offensive to their fans. But they'll agree with it. They're not a good watch. The reason they don't create many chances is because they don't have patterns of play. You know, I've seen United do this for years. It's just, I could put them in red shirts, actually, from previous years, where it's just the ball's moving around, but no one really knows what's going on. It's like side to side, what are we doing? Lose the ball, misplace a pass. Yeah, it's vibe football. There's no real chemistry to it. Here we go, though. Palmer might be able to do something here. Blocked shot straight at Henderson. No chemistry in the team, says Diego. Exactamundo. Exactamundo, dude. Can you do an Everton Palace watch along next week, says Alex. I won't rule it out, but at this point, it's doubtful. Juve have lost to Udinese. I can't speak, says Salwin. And KFJ says, any tips? Starting to drink at 9 AM. How do I make it to the evening? Also watch Barca and Inter. Well, I can't give you any tips if I don't. Why are you starting to drink at 9 AM? It's like, is there a reason for it? That's going to be a long day. And Alex Golding says, do Everton Palace watch along next week. Also, Luton Burnley coming up soon. Also, will you be doing that one? In other news, Chelsea are mid-table, says Alex. You really want me to watch the crap games, don't you? Although, actually, Alex, in a way, is very niche because Everton Palace will be very close to each other next week when it comes to the bottom part of the table. There's an interesting chat in the here from Stu, who's one of the members. Get your badge in. He says Poch will never be able to build his own team at Chelsea. I have no reason to be concerned about Chelsea because I don't support them, but I do question the progress there because Conor Gallagher, without doubt, is one of their best players this season, and if they're genuinely selling him, that's a cry for help. That's a red flag. If you're selling one of your better players, who is also from this country and from the youth setup, so knows what it's all about, I think it's dangerous. You must be doing that for financial reasons, and that means they're in financial problem. So I do worry about what the future is for Chelsea, because these players are not showing any chemistry at all. So when's it going to come? 10 minutes to go. Free kick to Chelsea to whip a cross in. I think Poch was always a bit overhyped anyway. You know, he did a very good job at Southampton. He did a very good job at Spurs. And then people started trying to put him into the same category as Klopp and Pep. And he's not. Edge of the box. Palmer. Oh, good block. I look at this Chelsea side and I still think they need to spend another £500 million. I really do. Paul says it feels like there isn't a vision from the Chelsea higher ups. I agree. It's amazing how you can spend £1 billion and then you look at this Chelsea side and say it needs breaking down and rebuilding again, which they can't do because they've got too many players on big money, on big contracts. But I look at this Chelsea side and I think it needs breaking up. You know, they need to clear it out and sort of rebuild again with a proper foundation. But I don't know. They're so committed long term to so many of these players. And you look at the centre-backs as well. Fofana's always injured. Badashil's injured. Disasi, Colwill, Thiago Silva. Look, I'm not knocking any of them individually. In fact, I think Colwill could be a really good player. But I look at them all and I think, well, there's no standout partnership there. You know, if Arsenal lost Saliba, you'd never hear the end of it. And at United, Martinez gets injured and everyone's moaning about it because it's such a big injury. But at Chelsea, I'm sort of like, got all these players, but do you really miss them? Are they really part of your vision? What is your vision? Thiago Silva, yeah, but I mean, Reece James is always injured. Alex says, what do you think of There Will Be Blood? I've only ever watched it once, and I think it's one of those films I probably need to revisit. Anyway, 8 minutes to go here. Are we likely to get a winner? I don't know. I really don't know. Lee Berman's right. They did the long contracts to circumvent FFP, but it's going to backfire if they carry on in this vein. Well, it backfires if the players don't deliver. It's all right giving them big contracts and big wages to circumvent FFP, but if those players don't deliver, you're stuck with them for a long time. Who's got the worst haircut, Cole Palmer or Phil Foden? Well, I think it's called a modern haircut. I mean, can you imagine me with that haircut? I look an absolute idiot. Here we go. Oh, Nkunku nearly fell to him. Cole Palmer needs to play the pass. Wrong way. No, right way. Good block. I thought that was going to be a chance. I don't think Cole Palmer saw gusto, but he still found a good pass to, I think it was Sterling. I mean, again, another player. Started the season off well. Now he's on the bench. That's a better front three for Chelsea. Sterling, Nkunku and Palmer. At least it feels like a front three. Madueke, Jackson and Palmer just felt like a misfits. Gusto goes off. Yeah, don't forget to check out the podcast, scan the QR code. It's out tomorrow morning, and we're giving away a pair of those trainers that I showed you earlier on there. I'll start doing more of those, actually. Super Bowl's done you in, says Danny. I'm getting to the point now, but I've done well to get to here. Zachary says, didn't you have a big announcement? I did, but it's been put back a couple of days. Out of my control. It's a shame, but it'll work later on in the week as well. Ooh, good ball in. Ooh, Thiago Silva. Might have done his knee here. I'd take a look at Thiago Silva here. He might have done his knee. No, it's not Thiago Silva. It's Colwell. God, I hope this isn't bad because the way he went down, it looked like knee. Oh, God. Oh, no, maybe not. Oh, I think it is his knee. Oh, God. It could be ankle, could be knee. Got the old Predators on. What's he going to clutch? Oh, no, he's up. You do worry about players when they go down like that. It's not a season ender, Mr. Bungley's up, thank God. Hi, Mark. My friend Felix is a virgin and he's looking for some advice. Do you have any for him? Hayden. Yeah, not really. Don't rush it. Palace on the attack. Where's the tackle? Where's the tackle? Oh, cleared. Bloody hell. Put the Chelsea all over the shop here. Into the box. Keeper's going to get hold of that. Someone said you could go to... Well, look, if you don't... Yeah, there are ways to not be that virgin if you don't want to, but I would say patience and do it the right way. How many owls would you have to see in a normal day to think something's wrong with the world? This is custard creamism. That's a good. It's a deep thinking question, that, isn't it? Because I can't remember the last time I saw a fucking owl. Byron says Bilbao draws with winless Almeria, who were down to one, had a man missing for 40 minutes. He can't speak. Gavin says, you're my favourite YouTuber. I have gave support all your YouTube videos and channels. I've always thought the Chelsea manager was no good. And what do you think of Mark Lawrenson as a pundit, says Kenneth? He doesn't do it anymore, does he? I haven't seen him on the telly for years. He's too old, isn't he, now? They culled them all, didn't they? Thompson, Lawrenson, Letitia, McAnally, Charlie Nicholas. They got rid of them for people in funky trainers, and yeah, I think we all know what's happened to the mainstream football output, hasn't it? A memo went round, and now it's a certain age demographic that they've gone for. Ever been skiing, Mark, says Odran? No, and I'd like to go, but you can't go skiing when you're my age because probably do your cruciate ligament or your hip. I know somebody went skiing and broke their femur and were basically in traction in Switzerland for about 3 months. I wasn't drunk in the Super Bowl watch-along. I'm just heavily tired. But my bed is calling. I'm only a few minutes away now. My sister-in-law did a cruciate ligament skiing as well. Vixter broke his collarbone as well, says Diego. Odren is actually pronounced Oren. Thank you very much, mate. Here's Sterling on the far side. Cross comes in. It's a good cross. Straight at the keeper from Disasi. No late winner for Chelsea then. And Richard Smith says a question. Which realistic manager who isn't managing would you like to see back? Potter. I'd like to see Potter back in the game. Yeah, I think he's a good youngish manager that's got a lot to offer. I don't know where I'd put him. I mean, I certainly don't think he should be getting a top 6-7 job. But I tell you what, if West Ham want a new manager and they want a better style of football, I think that would be a good one. Here's Palmer. They're on the break. Lays it off. Goal. Palmer with the assist. Conor Gallagher with the winner. Take two. That's a good goal. And it's an assist for Cole Palmer as well. They've won it at the end. They've won it at the end. So that will put Chelsea in a really... Well, watch this, Chelsea fans. You'll enjoy this. This is going to change. Chelsea are into the top half of the table and they'll have another 2 points as well. That's going to change to 34 points in a minute. Oh, poor old Roy. I'm worried about him. Sucker punch right at the start of the first half. Right at the start of the second half and right at the end of the second half. It's a lovely breakaway. Cole Palmer lays it off to Conor Gallagher. Lovely finish. Why are they looking to sell him? I'll never know. Chelsea into the top half of the table. Crystal Palace lose again. And to be fair, Chelsea, that's 2 wins in a row, innit? Is building a dynasty. Until you look at their next few games. Man City away. Tottenham at home. Liverpool in the cup final. Leeds in the cup. Brentford away. Newcastle at home. Arsenal away. Arsenal away. So, yeah, some tough games coming up for Chelsea. Let's just say that. Goldbridge jinx at it again. Did I jinx it? What did I say? Oh, sorry. I've also been singing 1D. I'm very tired. It's sleep deprivation. Abraham says, God damn your jinx. I didn't even know what I said. It wasn't even deliberate that time. I do have jinx powers, though. Like, I genuinely do have them. I don't know why I've got them. I must have been born with it. But I definitely do have jinx powers, as we saw yesterday with the Villa game as well. Oh, I said no winner for Chelsea. Yeah, I don't even know how long they're adding on here. We've had 3 minutes. We've not been told. 4. Sully says Palace deserves something today. I don't think they've added the points on for Chelsea yet. I'm sure they've got more than that. They're on the break again with a 2v2. Palmer into Enzo. He should have just passed it back. And he makes it 3. And that's 3-1. And it's game over. And Cole Palmer's got at least 2 assists in this game. Chelsea got 34 points. That's not updated for some reason. Chelsea got 34 points. And they've ended up winning this game 3-1 with 4 shots on target. There you go, 34 points for Chelsea. Hyperbeam says Palace deserved nothing. Good finish by Enzo Fernandez, though. I mean, you'd love to be in the box with all this time, though, wouldn't you, against the goalkeeper? Lance says, are Chelsea title contenders? They're back. They're back, mate. You know, clear style of play. The dynasty begins. Vintage football. Pep will not sleep tonight. No, they're miles off. They're absolutely miles off. But they're playing a Palace side that's just not very good. So you'd expect Chelsea to win. They've probably made it harder than it should have been. But Nicholas Jackson got a yellow card again as well. But look, like Yusuf says, Chelsea are only 2 points off Newcastle. They've got 34 points and they're 7 points off United. I think basically below Aston Villa, from 6th to 11th, it's just different shades of shit this season. And everybody's just trying to finish the season strongly. I mean, Man United have had a crap season. Newcastle have had a crap season. West Ham are probably doing okay for where they should be. Brighton have had a crap season. Chelsea have had a crap season. Wolves are obviously doing quite well, but should have more points from VAR. So that's why it's quite condensed there. Nick P says, Roy was my dad. I would say quit now, dad, and concentrate on the garden. Could be sacked. Yeah, could be sacked. Rob says, if you could have a useless superpower, what would it be and how would you use it to impress someone on a first date? A useless superpower? I think you'd have to go for something like... I think I'd do something like... Don't sing it, just speak any lyric from any song and I'll get it. Roy should be chilling at home with his feet up, says Spikey. Avery says, another friend of Felix is here. Any advice for him on how to talk to a girl he likes? Her name is Kerrigan. And Cormac says, as being Irish, I'm genuinely scared England could win the Euros. And then I remember Southgate's the manager and I relax a little. You watch out. Do you think Liverpool will finish top 4 without Jurgen Klopp, says Jenks? God, mate, you're talking 18 months in the future. When are you going on the Joe Rogan experience, says MSJ? Thanks for all the super chats tonight, by the way. For Felix, just be yourself and don't be nervous. There's the final whistle. He ended up adding 7 minutes on instead of 4. Welcome to the VAR. Chelsea fans are very, very happy. A grafted win. Still no philosophy. Still no chemistry. Still no real clue what the Chelsea vision is. But win when you're playing badly. That's what Chelsea did. Because Palace have lost and Roy looks very, very depressed. And they've got a very, 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 very tough run of games now. Crystal Palace. Everton away next Monday night. Burnley at home. Tottenham away. And then Luton at home. And you just wonder whether Palace now might just say, look, we need to make a change. Because if we don't, we could get dragged into something we don't want to be in. Thank you, everyone. I'm off to bed. It's been a long, long, long couple of days, but it's been a pleasure spending my time with you. Tomorrow night, I'm doing a double watch-along. Man City, Copenhagen. Yeah. Leipzig against Real Madrid, I think, is a very good one, and I'm looking forward to that. Take care. Special shout-out to the podcast. We're giving away, of course, some trainers, which I am going to show you very, very quickly. I got gifted these when I did the Sidemen charity game. No two ways trainers, and I'll never wear them So I may as well give them away to one of you great people. We're going to give them away on the podcast tomorrow. So tune in. It's out from about 7 o'clock. Scan the QR code to follow it so you know that when it comes out. And I will see you all tomorrow. Take care. Special, everyone. Bye.